And it has made it very tough to connect to the games and act as if they're the biggest things going, because there are very serious things happening off the ice. And we're just listing off stuff with regards to very serious allegations. But we are, and again, I realize with the mood of the podcast, it's going to be a downer when I mention this. COVID-19 is still out there, and the Ottawa Senators have been very much going through it. They have a number of players in COVID protocol, and as we're recording right now, it looks as if they're still going to be able to play against the Los Angeles Kings, but who knows if that could change before game time, and who knows what that could look like heading into this coming weekend with the amount of games that they have coming on as well. I'm for one, I'm a bit surprised after they announced Matt Murray and Alex Formanton were going to be on COVID protocol from the Ottawa Senators earlier on Thursday, that they're still going to be playing hockey. There's a lot going on beyond the ice that I have to admit, if you're a fan of the game, it's kind of hard to just act like nothing is wrong.
Right. Well, look, COVID is going to be something we're all living with. I mean, the Ottawa Senators are a completely vaccinated team. Their traveling party's vaccinated. And obviously they're dealing with breakthrough cases here. And a group of players, 8 are in COVID protocol as we're recording this. And their associate coach, Jack Capuano. I mean, the way the NHL approaches these things, Julian, because I think there's a lot of people in your boat that are confused why this game's going ahead or what's going on. It's really case by case. And in simple terms, when teams deal with COVID issues, they don't get any cap relief. And so there are a number of teams. If you go to Cap Friendly right now or Puckpedia, like half the league is in long-term injured reserve as it is. And so if any of those teams had 8 players unavailable for one game, it's hard to imagine that game going ahead because they wouldn't have the cap space to add anyone to replace them. That isn't a concern for Ottawa because they're a team with lots of cap room. And so, while they're icing a pretty diluted product, I think it's fair to say, they are able to still have a full 20-man roster dressed for these games. And I think that's ultimately why the games themselves are going ahead. They've taken extreme precautions from my understanding in terms of really spacing out. Some players and staff are staying in hotels in Ottawa to be apart from their families, just to be sure. Obviously being tested every single day, masking everywhere they are. I mean, kind of back to the scenario that the last year was in terms of protocols. And you just hope you can get it under control. And, I think the league has been prepared for this. No one has pretended this would be a smooth season, at least that I've talked to at the league or NHLPA level at any point, like leading into this year. In fact, there was a lot of skepticism, I'd say in September from people at pretty high levels that the Olympics would happen. If only because if a bunch of games get pushed back and get delayed and rescheduled, they're going to need that time set aside for the Olympic break in February to basically play those games because they don't want to extend another season into August, of course. And so, that's kind of, it's actually dissipated in the last 6 or 7 weeks because we haven't had any games to this point, knock wood, be rescheduled. The Senators are dealing with probably the most extreme case of this right now in terms of the numbers. And from what I understand too, all the players are at least somewhat symptomatic. And what's important about that is if you're symptomatic and you're positive, it's 10 days minimum that you're out. And so, I mean, these guys have entered on different days because it's been basically different, a group of players each day this week. But, at minimum, they're 10 days from when they were, received that positive test. And so this is very much an active situation in Ottawa. I mean, if more players produce positive tests, if they get to 10 or 12 or 14, I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, of course, but, maybe we'll see some of their games rescheduled and then we start to contemplate, how will this affect the Olympics or not?